I'm Douglas Rathbun, Chairman of the Board of PostClassical Ensemble, and I'm here today with Ángel Gil-Ordóñez. Welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
And we are going to chat over cocktails about Ángel's experience and relationship with American music. Today's cocktail was developed specially for PostClassical Ensemble by one of the great bartenders, Chantal Tseng, noted expert on sherry cocktails. To capture Ángel's Spanish heritage and his current status as an American conductor who conducts principally American music, Chantal created the Up-to-Coda. It's a drink of American rye, Spanish sherry, and a few other ingredients to give it its great personality. So let's mix the cocktail.
Great.
The Up-to-Coda is Chantal's take on the classic up-to-date, created around 1915 by Hugo Enslin. Her variation includes green Chartreuse and dry Curaçao. To make the up-to-date, combine 1 ounce, or 30 mils, of rye, the same amount of a Palo Cortado sherry, in this case, Leonor 12-year from Gonzalez-Byass, 12 ounces or 15 mils of dry Curaçao, another 1/4 ounce or 7 mils of the green Carthusian, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, stir, and pour into a chilled coupe. Express an orange peel over the drink, if desired, through a flame to infuse the drink with rich, toasty citrus aromas, and garnish with an orange peel and a bushy sprig of fragrant thyme.
Cheers. Very beautiful.
So Ángel, what music did you listen to when you were growing up?
My first experiences with a classical symphonic repertoire were actually at Madrid Teatro Real. A dear friend of mine had, his father actually had a subscription to the Radio Symphony Orchestra. And it was very funny. So I always say that somehow I became a musician because of the soccer club Atlético de Madrid. Because the father of this friend of mine had a subscription to the Atlético de Madrid. So when the Atlético de Madrid was not playing during the weekends, then he would give us the tickets to the theater to us. So that was actually the way I started going to concerts, to the Teatro Real de Madrid. And then, there it was all kinds of repertoire, symphonic repertoire from German music, French music, so any repertoire that a regular symphony orchestra does.
So what American music were you familiar with when you were growing up?
In Europe, of course, the composer in my generation, the composer that was somehow the most representative of American music was Gershwin. That was the first name that would come to mind.
George Gershwin.
Yeah. So then, in a more sophisticated circle of music lovers, Charles Ives would be the American composer. That really
Charles Ives was known in Spain at the time.
it was known because it was the composer that somehow resonated more with contemporary tendencies in Europe.
Okay.
So that was the reason. So to me, when I came here to the United States, it was a little bit surprising to see that neither those composers were really identified as the true American tradition. And actually, it took me knowing our executive producer, John Horowitz, who was part of the ensembles in the beginning, to learn more about American music. Actually, thanks to Joe, I have learned about American repertoire that I wasn't aware of. Composers like Lou Harrison, Bernard Herrmann. I knew about his music for film, but we have learned how much important this composer is for concert music too.
How familiar were you with American film music when you were growing up in Spain?
Well, it's very interesting because, believe you or not, during Franco's dictatorship, Spanish, I mean, all the Spaniards were exposed to American films from the 40s and 50s. So when I speak with American friends about films, American films in that those years, I know more than they do.
Right.
Because we were exposed to everything, you know. I saw everything from Catherine Hepburn, Cary Grant. Of course, Fred Astaire was, you know, the big celebrity.
So Korngold, Herman, all these composers were composers you grew up with.
Absolutely.
What was the first American piece that you conducted?
That's a very good question. I think the first, it was Chadwick Jubilee from his American Sketches. That's it.
George Chadwick. Wow.
Yep.
Well, it has been a pleasure exploring this with you today.
Thank you,
And
Doc.
thank you for joining us. And please follow PCE on social media, sign up for our mailing list, and we appreciate your support. And we hope to see you, Ángel and I, at concerts very soon.